With 1 year to go until the presidential election, voters in key swing states are sharing their views. And check your freezers. Tyson is recalling nearly 30,000 pounds of chicken nuggets. The morning rundown starts now.
From the Straight Arrow News Studio, bringing the stories that matter to you from across the United States and around the world. This is the Morning Rundown.
Today is Monday, November 6th. Thank you for joining us. I'm Kara Rucker. With 1 year to go until Americans head to the polls for the 2024 presidential election, a new survey is showing what voters in key battleground states are thinking. The New York Times Siena College polls show President Joe Biden trailing former President Donald Trump, the Republican frontrunner, in 5 of 6 swing states. The polls were conducted over the last 2 weeks with over 3,600 registered voters surveyed. According to the results, Biden is behind Trump in Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, and Pennsylvania by margins of 4 to 10%. Wisconsin is the only state in the Times polls that has Biden ahead of Trump by 2 percentage points. If you were to combine data from all 6 states, Trump leads Biden by 48% to 44%. A majority of voters polled said Biden's policies have personally hurt them, and at least 60% of voters in each state said the nation was headed in the wrong direction. At least 47% of voters in each state said there was not really any chance they would support Biden, whereas at least 44% in each state said that about Trump. The former president is set to take the stand today in his $250 million civil fraud trial in New York. Meanwhile, another Republican candidate for president, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, is expected to get an endorsement later today from Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds, just a couple months ahead of the January caucuses. Late last night, Israel said it fully encircled Gaza City as it is carrying out a, quote, significant operation in Gaza as the Israeli army searches for senior Hamas commanders. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken made surprise visits to the West Bank and Iraq over the weekend, continuing his tour of the Middle East, expressing the United States' commitment to minimizing civilian injuries in Gaza and preventing the war between Israel and Hamas from spreading. Blinken met with the president of the Palestinian Authority, who, according to the Palestinian news agency, called for an immediate halt to the attacks in Gaza. The United States has been urging Israel to allow humanitarian pauses in its response against Hamas for the terror attacks. However, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said on Friday there would be no ceasefire until the more than 200 hostages taken are freed by Hamas. Following the trip to the West Bank, Blinken traveled to Baghdad to meet with the Iraqi prime minister, where he repeated America's warning to Iran and its allies to not get involved in the conflict. U.S. forces in Iraq and other locations in the region have been facing a surge of attacks from militia groups aligned with Iran.
To anyone who might seek to take advantage of the conflict in Gaza to threaten our personnel here or anywhere else in the region, don't do it. I made very clear that the attacks, the threats coming from militia that are aligned with Iran are totally unacceptable, and we will take every necessary step to protect our people.
On Sunday, officials said the U.S. military shot down an attack drone that was targeting American troops near their base in Syria. After visiting Baghdad, the Secretary of State traveled to Turkey. A Stanford University student is speaking out after a hit and run that sent him to the hospital is being investigated as a hate crime. This comes amid growing tensions on college campuses as the war between Israel and Hamas continues. According to a public safety statement from the university, the student, Abdul Wahab Omira, who is Arab Muslim, says he was walking to class on Friday afternoon when a white male driver of a Toyota SUV made eye contact with the student, accelerated, and then struck him while shouting at the victim. University police said O'Meara's injuries were not life-threatening. From his hospital room over the weekend, the Stanford student released a statement denouncing hate, saying he is, quote, grappling with a reality I had never imagined. I reflect on the importance of spreading love, kindness, and compassion in a world that seems to be steadily succumbing to hatred and prejudice. This ordeal has solidified my resolve to advocate for love, understanding, and inclusivity. O'Meara called out Stanford for its slow response to the situation. The university said it issued a notice as soon as it had enough details from police. Germany's Hamburg airport is back open after a hostage situation was resolved on Sunday afternoon. Police say an armed man drove through an airport gate with his 4-year-old daughter in his vehicle on Saturday night. He fired a weapon twice into the air, making his way outside of a terminal building and parking under a plane. According to authorities, the girl's mother notified police that she had been abducted by her father in a possible custody battle. The hostage situation ended peacefully, with authorities taking the man into custody after 18 hours of negotiation. While no one was hurt during the standoff, more than 100 flights were canceled and several planes rerouted, affecting the plans of thousands of travelers. Now to a consumer warning this morning. Tyson Foods is recalling nearly 30,000 pounds of dinosaur-shaped frozen chicken nuggets because they may be contaminated with metal pieces. The recall affects the company's 29-ounce plastic bag packages of the Fun Nuggets, which were produced on September 5th of this year and have a best if used by date of September 24th of 2024. The products were shipped to distributors in several states. Tyson says it issued the recall after a limited number of customers reported they found small, pliable metal pieces in the chicken. According to the USDA, there has been one minor oral injury reported. Tyson Foods says anyone who purchased the nuggets should cut the UPC and date code from the packaging, throw out the product, and contact the company. Finally this morning, you may remember that proposed MMA fight between tech billionaires Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk. Though that match never came to be, Mark Zuckerberg has been preparing for another one. However, his training took a turn last week, and the Meta CEO ended up in the hospital. Zuckerberg recently posted a photo to his Instagram account showing him in a hospital bed with his left knee in bandages, revealing he is recovering from a torn ACL he suffered during a martial arts sparring session. This isn't the first injury Zuckerberg sustained from his MMA training. Last month, he posted a photo of himself sporting bruising on his face with the caption, "Sparring got out of hand." Zuckerberg said he has been training for an MMA fight early next year, but as he recovers from surgery, he said that fight has been delayed a bit, and he's looking forward to having the match once he's back on his feet. These are your top stories for this Monday. Be sure to subscribe to the Morning Rundown newsletter to get the top stories each weekday morning. Just go to san.com/rundown to sign up. Unbiased, straight facts, that's Straight Arrow News. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Until then, I'm Kara Rucker. Have a great day.